Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing episode 11 of my Shock to the Past series. For those of you who don't know what Shock to the Past is, it's movies from the 60s, 70s and 80s that I'll be talking about that shocked audiences back then and how they shape up by today's standards. So I do apologise, it's been a very long time, almost a year since my last episode, but hopefully you guys haven't lost interest or haven't forgotten about it and are prepared to get on board and restart this series. And so today we're going to go to 1982, and this is a slasher that's not as recognised as the more well-known slashers, but it does have a cult following. So it was 1982, directed by Juan Piquer-Simon, and this movie is called Pieces. Now, Pieces is a very notorious piece. It's a movie that has a lot of recognition for being a very nasty film and being a very silly film. And so, I've never really gravitated to slashers as much as I did to films like The Exorcist or The Thing when I was little. I appreciated Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees, but to me, that was popcorn horror. That was horror that didn't really scare me, and I wanted to be scared when I watched horror films, so I gravitated to the more serious kind. And as I grew older, I thought to myself, well, alright, I can appreciate what slashers do. And so I've kind of become a fan. After the longest period where I just dismissed them as rubbish, when I actually went in with the right mindset, I appreciate them for what they were, and I see the valuable place that they have in the horror genre, because a lot of these horror icons come from slashers and they can actually expand outside the horror genre, and so it does give horror a more recognised sort of value, and that's something that I really appreciate it, and I actually admire the fact that slashers have done so much for this genre that I love. And so when you think of great slashers, you think of Friday the 13th, Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, and you think, why are these franchises so successful? And ultimately the reason why they're so successful is because they have great horror icon killers. Now, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger, you just have to say the name and you know what movie they are. And this is something that is an absolute necessity as far as slashers are concerned. You need great killers and you need great kills. And so that's the reason why these franchises work so well, and that's the reason why, as far as slashers are concerned, they're classics. And unfortunately, this is the reason why Pieces, in my mind, is not a classic. Is because it does have good kills, it's a very bloody film, but the missing ingredient is the memorable killer. Now, this killer I thought was really run-of-the-mill. It was really pedestrian. It was lacking sort of inspiration. I thought that the movie had a goldmine underneath it, but the director didn't realise this, is that he was more concerned about making horrible kills, but basically the rest of the film is just disposable. It's just serviceable. It's definitely worth watching. But as far as a classic is concerned, the reason why it doesn't reach that elevator status of, the great slasher films of all time is because the killer is lacking. I thought there was so much area in this movie that could have been expanded to a point where it actually could have made it a classic, but the director doesn't realise this. It's not self-aware. It doesn't know the positives that it has, and the execution I thought was actually quite poor. Now, a lot of people say that this is a movie that is so bad that it's good. I think that's being a little bit harsh. I actually thought it wasn't as silly as a lot of people will make it out to be. I thought that it was actually quite well made. The acting doesn't require great performances, but it was okay. There was nothing that really stood out as stupid, and so I will say that that is a little bit harshly dealt with as far as a lot of people's opinions are concerned. But for me, I thought that it just lacked inspiration. It lacked that punch that a lot of these great slasher films have. And so the killer, I thought, with his growing up at the start of the film, it really sets a good platform, but the killer just doesn't really go anywhere. I thought there were moments that it just could have been expanded. He could have evolved to a point where it could have been a great slasher icon, and unfortunately that is the ingredient that's missing, and it's a massive ingredient. And so basically it's like making chocolate cake but you're missing chocolate, and so it just doesn't work. It's just not what it says it is. And so that to me was the biggest problem. I will say the ending was great. The ending was really random. It was out of this world, and I really laughed, and that was something that I really appreciated. But unfortunately, it's just like a slasher movie that is going through the motions, is that it doesn't feel comfortable in actually executing the positives that the movie has going for it. So at the end of the day, I felt a lot more disappointed because I thought as though this was a missed opportunity. Now, I do appreciate the fact that this movie has a lot of fans, and if you want to put forward your honest opinions, please feel free. Be brutally honest. If you want to call me an idiot who doesn't understand anything, please feel free. If you want to abuse me to no end, again, I encourage brutally honest feedback, and so if you want to push forward your opinion, please feel free. This is what this series is all about, but I just didn't love Pieces. I thought as though it was fairly ordinary. It wasn't terrible. It's not the worst slasher movie I've ever seen, but as far as the status that it has, I just don't think it really deserves it. And so I was left disappointed. I probably won't watch this movie ever again. And so it's not bad, it's not terrible, but then again, it's nothing great. Alright guys, that's it for this episode. Until the next episode, keep watching horror and I'll see you later.